Welcome into U.S. Bank Stadium as the 5-4 Saints get ready to take on the 5-4 Vikings. I'm Brooke Kirchhofer alongside Nick Underhill live on NewOrleans.Football, joining you live for our pregame question and answer show presented by Matt Bauer's Auto Group. Go ahead and get your questions rolling into the live chat. I will be paying attention to those for the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then of course we will move over to our private link for our members only version of this live pregame show. So get those questions in. Nick, what stands out to you about this matchup?
Keep it on the two. Yeah, just so I think it's going to be a game where the Saints need to score some points. We got Keith Kirkwood walking behind us right now. He was just let go this week, so he hasn't gone too far away. But yeah, it's a game that I think the Saints need to score some points to win. And look, the topic of the week was Josh Dobbs. Just how is he going to affect this defense? The Saints have had issues just stopping quarterbacks who have the ability to run. We've seen he has the ability to run. So the pass rush is going to have a lot of integrity today.
Yeah.
So that's number one on the list, and I think you take care of that. Everything else maybe falls into place.
Look, the team is walking in slowly behind us. We have yet to see Michael Thomas, but he is here and will be playing in this game after getting arrested Friday night in front of his home. We have broken it all down up to this point on our website. Nick, at this point, do you expect there to be any consequences from the NFL?
I kind of don't, unless there's more that comes out about it. Everything we reported late Friday night, we heard that there wasn't really any damage to the car. He didn't break the phone. There is a shove that was alleged to have happened. We have heard a differing account of that. There's two sides to every story,
Absolutely.
So we'll kind of see what the truth is when it comes time to come out. But this doesn't rise to the level of something that I think the NFL gets involved with. We saw the guy that was involved in the incident with Michael Thomas on WDSU. He appeared to be fine, unless there was something else that said on afterwards when he's standing, he was upright, everything. So even if there was a shove, it doesn't seem like it was a major issue. But again, we'll see when all the facts come out. But I don't think it's going to be something that the NFL has to get involved with.
Right, and as we know, the Saints aren't taking any disciplinary action. Michael Thomas is expected to start and play in this game. We will continue to be looking for him as well in pregame. If we see him, we will make sure to get a camera on him. But a lot of people are expecting big things from Michael Thomas this weekend specifically after he did not have any catches and was only targeted once last week.
Yeah, do you think they're going to make a concerted effort to kind of get him going early in the game?
I don't think they are going to have to do anything to get him going. I think this is a player who is motivated and somebody who is maybe trying to put away what happened on Friday and just focus in on this game. And if there's anything we know about Michael Thomas, he's really good at doing that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a game where he comes out here, he's really motivated to make things happen. Now, not that he ever is lacking motivation, like
Absolutely.
you said. Sometimes the ball just doesn't come your way. I think that's kind of what happened last week when we went through the film. Like we saw a lot of double teams, a lot of attention being paid to him. So I think it was more about that than anything else.
Yeah.
That's a compliment to his talent. But I think they need to try to find a way to get him the ball early in the game, hit him on a couple slants. I'd like to see some crossing routes in this game. We haven't seen a lot of those. So I would just find ways to get him into the flow of the game, feed him, allow that to kind of be what you lean on this week against the Vikings, because I think there's an advantage there if you find a way to get him the ball.
We're about less than an hour away from the inactives coming out, but we did get some information about Justin Jefferson. The Vikings will not activate him from IR for the game today. He returned to practice this week and was listed as questionable. Of course, he's dealing with a hamstring injury, but the plan was kind of to ramp him up gradually. That was from the team. We also got some updates on tight end TJ Hawkinson. It sounds like he is expected to play. ESPN put out that report this morning, but he is still affected by a rib and oblique injury. How does that affect a player on the field, given we have been here, done that with Taysom Hill, Marshawn Lattimore last year, and how that kind of affected them? They had some more serious injuries in that area of their body, but it really can put you out for a game.
Yeah, it's a thing that's going to be an issue. Ed Werder reported that he's going to kind of maybe be on a pitch count today, so I think that's a huge thing for the Saints because they had some issues last week defending Cole Kmet. He got off for, 59 yards, I think, 2 touchdowns. He was very involved in that plan, so the Saints, I think that benefits them if you take him off the field, even if it's just a low percentage of snaps. I think it's something that can help them a little bit. So that's big. No Justin Jefferson. Then now it just kind of comes down to stopping Addison.
Yeah.
I think the Saints are going to be able to do that.
Yeah, wide receiver KJ Osborne is unlikely to play, even though that he did clear concussion protocol. Sounds like this is a coach-player decision. That report also coming from ESPN.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what they kind of focus on in this game. I think I would try to double Addison a little bit and make that be the thing that I do to try to take it away. try to get the quarterback to throw some interceptions. You can focus in on Dobbs a little bit more. So I think if you just cut off those are the two biggest issues with this team. So it's going to be really fascinating to kind of see what they key in on today. But they do still have to have a plan for Hawkinson. And what they did last week, I don't think was the most effective thing. So they're going to need to make an adjustment against the tight end.
New update today that I thought was just fascinating to hear. Look, Josh Dobbs, we saw him last week. That video went viral of him practicing his cadence on the sideline with the team because he hadn't practiced all week with them. We saw him come out and have success and beat the Falcons on the road. This is now going to be his second game with the Vikings, and according to Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, Josh Dobbs is learning only the game plan instead of the entire playbook. To me, that is just so smart when you're bringing in a guy like Joshua Dobbs. But credit to Joshua Dobbs. He's known for his football IQ and also his smarts away from the football field. Alvin Kamara talked about that a little bit this week, that he is somebody who is capable of doing anything on a Sunday. Yeah,
they're going to have to find a way to keep easing him into this. And like you said last week, that was one of the most interesting things. Like, you're literally on the sideline minutes before the game figuring out what the snap count is going to sound like and all that stuff. So that was really interesting. And, yeah, you do kind of have to ease your way into it. You come into this game probably having a menu of a handful of plays. You're comfortable with them. Maybe you put some window dressing on them so you can get 2 looks out of each one, and it kind of cuts down on just some of the verbiage you need to know. But they need to do that. But as we saw last week, even on a limited basis, they were able to score a lot of points. So I don't know how hindered they're going to be. Some of the element of surprise, I think, coming into this game is eliminated. Seeing them in this offense one time, it kind of maybe makes it a little bit easier to game plan. But I don't think you can sleep on him at all. And for the Saints, really it's about finding a way to keep him in the pocket. You create those lanes in the way you brush the passer, he's going to gut you. So you got to make sure that does not happen.
All right, let's get to some of these questions in the live chats. James Baker asks, am I wrong to not be worried about a Josh Dobbs-led team?
Not to be worried? Well, look, like we just said, I think the thing to be worried about is his ability to run. So I don't – you can cut out everything the quarterback does on the quarterback stuff. The Saints have not shown year after year an ability to be able to keep quarterbacks in the pocket the way they need to outside of Cam Newton. They were always sound against Cam Newton, but they let these guys run. So he has the ability to run. He has the ability to take care of all this stuff. So, no, I don't think that – I think you are wrong to not be worried about him. I think the Saints can beat him. I think they can shut him down. I think they can make him look bad. But that one element, if it's not in check, I think you really do have to be kind of scared of him a little bit.
Another question, have they been upping focus on stopping mobile quarterbacks in practice this week? Yes, not just this week, though. This has been a concern from the beginning of the season, and really they've made non-mobile quarterbacks look mobile, like a Trevor Lawrence, like a Tyson Bagent last week. The Saints, I believe, are near the bottom of the league in allowing quarterbacks specifically to pick up rushing yards against them across the NFL. This is something that has been a concern. We've continued to harp on it in the locker room with the defensive linemen, but there was a little bit of a difference this week now that they know they are preparing for a true mobile quarterback in Josh Dobbs. I expect to see a concerted effort to kind of fix that, and if not, they're going to have a really hard time trying to win this game today.
I think going back to the last question, and you just mentioned Bagent, like he's not somebody that I think you're classically scared of, but he found a way to do things against this defense while still throwing a ton of interceptions, but he found ways to exploit him a little bit. So those are the things you got to be scared about until you have that buttoned up. And everything this week was focused on trying to figure that out, but they've been trying to figure it out for years. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback, used to got him all the time before he kind of developed into being Superman, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. When he was still figuring things out, he beat him with his legs. Dobbs can beat him with his legs. So they're different types of quarterbacks, but that element of it is still something that the Saints just year after year have not been solid against.
Absolutely. How much of an impact regarding opening up portions of the playbook will Adam Prentice make if he plays?
A little bit. I mean, I think there's some
He's
stuff
not a
you can
game
do.
changer. He's not the guy that's going to come in and be your playmaker and change things. Maybe on a few plays here and there, but it sounds like Colin Saunders is still very much a part of the plan.
Yeah, he should probably still be involved in the goal line. You know, the rest of the field, I think the one area where he maybe helps is that your running backs really haven't had a lot of rushing lanes, so maybe he's someone that can help you run more power stuff and use him to open it up a little bit. So I think having him back helps. I don't necessarily want to see the ball in his hands too much, and I don't think, we never really do. There's a couple moments this year that stand out, but I don't think I think he's here to block, and I think that's something that he can definitely help with.
Can you tell us about the defensive end rotation since Isaiah Foskey is out?
Yeah, they got to find a way to keep piecing it together. You're going to see a little bit more of Tano, stuff like that. So you just got to get different guys in. Look, they need to get more active immediately. Like, it's something that they need to do. And this is a game where I don't know if you see it, though. Like, you got to be sound while trying to balance that, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So we'll see how everything kind of comes together. I don't think losing Foskey is a huge thing. I don't think it changes things too much. He wasn't getting a ton of snaps. I think you mentioned on the show this week, like a dozen or something was a season high. So I don't think it really shifts things too much, but it's just somewhere they need to get more guys stepping up, making an impact.
Absolutely. All right, will the Saints have someone spy on the quarterback? This question is interesting to me because if they do, who will it be, Pete Werner or Demario Davis? Demario Davis has been dealing with a knee injury for the last few weeks, but there's nobody better cut out for the job than Demario Davis. He's done it before. Typically when the Saints have played a mobile quarterback, it's been Demario Davis who has been the spy. If you had to put money on it, if they were spying Josh Dobbs, who would it be?
Well, I don't think they will. Like, they don't usually do that, and I think sometimes to their detriment. Like, and I don't know that he's the type. Like if it was Hurts or someone like that, like maybe that's where I do it. I don't know.
And that's where we typically see it is when they were playing the Eagles.
So I don't know that we see that. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe you find a way to do it. Like, maybe you bring Jordan Howden in to be a little bit more involved and kind of have him sitting down there. Maybe Lonnie Johnson. Maybe Jonathan Abram will be a game, but he's not elevated. So yeah, there's options. There's different ways to do it. You can keep an eye on someone, but I don't think this is a game where we see that happen.
Great question. Do we expect turnovers from the Saints defense today? You should, given the fact that they had 5 takeaways last week. Joshua Dobbs, I believe, is tied for second in the NFL with most turnovers, I believe with 11. So it should be wide open for the Saints to make some plays here in Minnesota. This is kind of like the Dome, should feel like home for them. But once this place fills up, it's an advantage for the Vikings. I've never been here for a home game, but we heard from the players all week about how the environment affects road teams here in Minnesota. We'll see what happens, but I expect a turnover at least. It's
unique here. It's loud. They get the skull thing going, the horns going. People are doing the clap. It's a cool place to be. It's one of the better atmospheres in the NFL. Definitely top 5 on that list. We did this on the show earlier this week, but if you're picking who's having the turnover, like who's your guy to pick? Who's getting the pick this week?
Paulson Adebo. We mentioned that earlier
sticking with
this
Adebo?
week. I'm sticking with it. Typically when he's had interceptions, he's been so far away from the other end zone, and that's where we've kind of seen him. He'll gain like 20 yards on a return or 10 yards on a return, but because he has had so many interceptions, you would think up to this point that if he does have another one today, he'll kind of know where to go with the ball.
I'm going Latte. I said Alante on the show. I'm changing my pick. I'm going Latte.
Okay.
But I'm going to claim Alante if he gets it. So like I'm doubling up here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. So it is what it is. But no, I think Marshawn's going to get one today. That's where I'm going with it.
This question kills me. Is Adam Prentice worth the spot over Binkatron? There's a new nickname for this guy every single week. We had the Spider Bink, all these other different ones that we've heard from players this week. Look, no, I don't think Adam Prentice is. It's really hard to say because they're experimenting with a defensive lineman at fullback, and it's a big diss for somebody to say, hey, he's not as good or potentially better than Adam Prentice. It just depends on what the play is, in my opinion, as to what their strengths are.
Yeah, look, he's going to have his own thing. Prentice is going to do his own thing. I don't really think they affect each other. It's a completely different type of package. I do want to see the Colin Saunders pass work out at some point. I feel like that was the one and only opportunity. People are going to be looking for it. But I want to see it work. They need to find a way to make it work. Like I got to see the big man touchdown at some point this season.
How many touchdowns or touches for Taysom Hill today?
8.
8 touches?
Go with 8 touches.
You going with a score?
Yeah, I think I'll
At least a touchdown?
I think I'll score.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you got?
I mean, why wouldn't you involve him, especially against a Vikings team? Look, they're gonna. This is a solid defense here in Minnesota. They do have home field advantage. Get Taysom Hill out there and confuse the defense a little bit.
So, like, I think he's going to get 8. Like, you're smarter, though, if it's, like, 12. Like, so, it's somewhere in that range.
12. That's asking, like, that's like pulling teeth from Pete Carmichael, though, to get 12.
Yeah, they make it harder than it needs to be.
It really, really is. Looks like we don't have any more questions in the live chat. Guys, be sure to throw those in there. Any concerns this week with Alvin Kamara not really getting a whole lot of action once they were in the red area last week?
No, but I mean, I think it's something that they need to do. I mean, at some point, you are dealing with humans, and I think Alvin's a very, very much a team guy. So I'm not like saying he feels like this, but I just think a normal person, if you go 3 weeks in a row where you're carrying the ball to the 1 yard line and you don't get to carry, a chance to score, that's a way to create frustration.
Yeah.
I think you just have to manage the people as well as the team, the sport, and everything. And look, he's a guy that can score from the 1 yard line. It's not like you're making a major concession. Like, he's going to score, you give him a carry from there. So I think you got to allow him the opportunity to finish what he starts if he does take the team down to that area this week.
All right, players are starting to roll out. If you are not already subscribed to NewOrleans.Football, go ahead and hit that QR code that you see in the top there, because we are going to be moving over to our private live stream on NewOrleans.Football, where you will get personalized questions when you send them to us. We will make sure to hit every single one that is in the chat. Of course, you have to go to NewOrleans.Football, though, to see that YouTube link. You can't access it from YouTube because it is a private link. Nick, tell them how they can sign up.
Yeah, hit the site, NewOrleans.Football, NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. Use the code NOF, 20% off your first payment, $7.20 a month, $71 a year. Get all of our coverage, our analysis. We have an extra show there every week. So for everything you want to know about the Saints, keep it locked to the site.
And get an extra look at Michael Thomas. We will be expecting him to come out soon in warm-ups and try to get eyes on that. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us on the public live question and answer show presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. We'll see you over on NewOrleans.Football. All right,
time for the real stuff.
Move into NewOrleans.Football. First question, have y'all heard anything about the Falcons or Lions game being flexed out of the noon slot?
Have not, but I think that Lions game is definitely one that could possibly do it. I mean, that's a game that I think a lot of people would probably want to see. I'm not sure what the night game is that week, but that's one that I would probably think has a possibility of getting moved, especially if the Saints keep winning. Like, at some point, that you got two first-place teams